Hello and welcome back to another episode of Future Chat. Last week, I said I wasn't going to say the number of the episode. This week, I'm following through on that promise. So we spent a big chunk of pre-show talking about Pokemon. So we're going to put that in the after show. But first, we do have a couple pieces of follow-up, and then some very topical stuff that Mike wants me to talk about. I guess there was an Apple event or something. So, Mike, what did you have in follow up here?
Well, we've talked a lot about self-driving cars, and we've speculated that the easiest point of entry into the industry or the market anyway is logistics and deliveries, and specifically long haul trucking, because that's a big industry, it's in high demand, and it's very taxing on the human psyche, those long drives, unless you're a CGP Grey who does it for fun. And
virtually, yes.
Virtually for fun. And so Uber, I guess, has put some investment, some R&D into self-driving long-haul trucks. And it made its first delivery to, I don't have the details right in front of me here, I guess in Colorado. I was driving at 55 miles an hour, which is about 100 kilometers an hour, limit? Give or take. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 60 miles per hour is the speed limit. So
I don't think so.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure 60 is.
60 is 100, give or take.
So let's 100 kilometers per hour, we'll call it. And I guess it went to a point just outside the city where a human driver, actually, no. In this case, the human driver was in the truck. But he was able to set the truck to self-driving. Right. But I think the goal, the vision for this is for these trucks to be fully self-driving, with or without a person in it, I guess. And then once it had to navigate through a city, then the human would take over and do the navigating. But the long kind of trek on the highway, interstates, would be done by the self-driving functionality of the truck. Which makes total sense, because that drive is, for all intents and purposes, just automatic anyway. Like you're not often taking exits. You're not really changing lanes. Like, especially if you're a truck, you're just staying in the right-hand lane anyway. So it's really cool to see that this is being trialed and put into practice. And our prediction. Well, I don't remember what the exact predictions were, but Rob was a lot more optimistic about the infiltration of self-driving vehicles into our everyday lives, or at least majority of the market share would come sooner than later.
Yeah.
Mine was not as optimistic, but I do think it will happen. I just don't think it will happen as quickly as is necessarily thought to be. But
for completeness, I had said 10 to 15 years until we see 10% adoption, 20 years till we see 80% adoption. And you, Mike, had said 50 years until 50% adoption.
Yeah. Again, market share being like used on a daily basis by people.
Right.
So I guess percent vehicle sales would be the easiest, or percent registered, percent insured. I don't know. When it happens, we'll know. It won't be very contentious, I don't think.
No, I think it will have again, another CGP Grey theory, or maybe that was Brady, but how by the time we encounter aliens, it won't be news, because it'll just be it'll be so gradual and we won't even notice.
Well, I already feel that way about space travel. It's like, oh, we're going to Mars? Okay, no biggie. Like,
you
yeah,
guys
makes sense.
Worst.
Now, Nick, as a non-vehicle owner, but semi-regular user, do you see self-driving vehicles being a part of your life?
I don't
know. No.
I would love for Uber to do it, and for that to be a licensed thing in Calgary.
It is licensed now. It's legal.
Is it all the way?
The laws allow for Uber to operate in Alberta now, yeah.
But Calgary still has it locked down, I think.
Is it? I remember seeing in the news a while back. Let me just... real-time follow-up here.
Do the fire up Google thing.
This is some great radio right here.
For the record, if I can pitch in some info on Ottawa specifically, that it's definitely legal in our city. We passed regulations for it.
So yeah, it looks like Calgary might still not be fully operable.
But Alberta is.
I think Calgary's like, oh yeah, Uber can operate, but Uber's like, no, we can't. But Calgary's like, well, you can. So there, like, it's. I think it's still kind of at a standstill.
I'm assuming I will know the moment it happens because Kaya works in communications, and Kaya also hates cabs and loves Uber. So I'm sure the minute it happens, because she lives on the internet all day, I'll get a series of very excited texts from her.
Now, is this like I hate cabs and I love Uber, as in I'm not going to use Uber? Or is this because I used Uber many times before it was quote unquote legal? I'm wondering
once more,
because this isn't like a moral decision. This is like, do you skirt? Because Uber skirts bylaws. Like that's how they get into markets. Does Kaya not use Uber now, and that's why she's going to be so excited and on this news, or is it just because she's tied into communications networks?
Uber's not in Calgary, period. Like you can't even use it if you wanted to.
Are you serious?
Yeah, at one point you could.
Yeah, it used
but
to be.
Uber pulled out completely.
As like a protest move?
As a kind of, well, I don't know about protest, but making a point, being like,
we're going to anger the citizens who love drivers, Uber, which is all of them.
Yeah.
Huh. So definitely protest thing.
Yeah. So there's a service here called Tapcar.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is a lot more taxi like in its services and fares.
Right.
But operates on the cab hailing aspect with the app.
Okay.
So I think some people use that, but it hasn't had super great reviews, and there's like 5 operating in Calgary at any given time. So
it's not particularly useful.
Not really.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I find that so weird because Ottawa the entire time, like they were ticketing Uber drivers whenever they did kind of the lamest sting operation you can imagine, where they just call an Uber and then like get in and give them a ticket. But Uber was just like, yeah, we'll pay your ticket. Just let us know. And that was just the cost of doing business in Ottawa. And they just kept pushing until they got it. I think Montreal's the same way. I'm 99% sure.
Can we just not talk about Montreal right now? It's still a little raw from last night.
Yeah.
Phrasing.
Yeah,
Montreal's doing incredibly well in hockey right now. And Nick's a little sore about it.
Yeah. A little. I'd like to see them win a game every once in a while.
Yeah. I think we all would.
Pittsburgh went through some growing pains when they first got Crosby. They didn't win a cup the first year they had him.
No, they were still terrible. And then it took them a couple years to get to the playoffs and get their Tukuses handed to them.
Yeah.
And then they started to do well.
Granted, they also got Malkin and a bunch of other young players. Fleury and Jordan Stahl and et cetera, et cetera.
It's like the answer is clear. You just have to win a bunch of lotteries and also your team. Because
Edmonton's doing well as well this year. Edmonton's only lost one game.
Who's their goalie right now?
I have no idea.
Edmonton's.
Oh, I should know this. But I don't.
You should. Ty Conklin.
Is that an actual answer?
No. That was their goalie from like 10 years ago.
I don't think so.
You're doing the what's the principle? The hard K sounds are funny.
Is that a principle? I've never heard that one before.
Ty Conklin. That would be Gustafsson? No, Talbot.
Oh,
Talbot's their goalie. Gustafsson's back.
Really?
He's an ex-Penguin, so he should be good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
moving on.
We have another piece of follow-up here. And this is just the most coincidental timing that I've ever seen.
This isn't really follow-up. This is new news, but...
No, it's new news, but it's following up on what we talked about last week.
Sure.
Battles the line. And this was kind of like, this was a really interesting thing to me because I'm not sure that this is actually ceramic in the same way we talked about, but Xiaomi released a ceramic phone, and we talked a little bit when this first came out about how this isn't a concept phone. Xiaomi, it's called the Mi Mix. They called it a concept phone, but it's being or has been released. So how is it a concept? Because that would be like Apple making a car, like theorizing about making a car, and then being like, "Oh, this is our concept car, and it's coming out next week." No, that's not what a concept is. But so it's made of mostly, possibly not the screen. Like it's got a ceramic body, but no bezels, no buttons on the front, as far as I know. It's just software buttons.
Yeah. Well, okay. This is a weird kind of thing because the Pixel, when it came out, it's like, what? No hardware buttons. It's like Android phones normally don't have hardware buttons.
It's true.
Like the Samsung ones do. And to be fair, that's what most people think of when they think of an Android phone.
Yeah.
So,
well, they're not really buttons. They're like capacitive hardware.
No, this one's
buttons. They have like ones there's one you press in, but the other ones are just like.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. So they have two software buttons and one home button that's hardware.
What I mean is, for a while on Samsung phones, there were buttons that were like laser etched in, but they weren't actual like button shaped buttons. They were just in the surface, like embedded in the surface.
I haven't seen that before. Okay.
But this one doesn't have anything on the front. There's a tiny bit of a chin at the bottom, like a half an inch or something. And there isn't even like at the top, there's no earpiece. It uses, it's a piezoelectric ceramic acoustic receiver. So it uses, like, it vibrates the surface to create sound for a speaker. This whole thing is crazy.
Yeah. It has a similar style as the Sony Xperia phones back when they were making them. I don't know if they still are.
They probably still are.
But yeah, it's very square, very sharp. It looks like it has rounded edges.
Mm-hmm.
So hot right now.
The interesting, like this thing has a great camera, 6 gigabytes of RAM, massive amounts of storage, a 16 megapixel camera, and a giant battery, and it's $516 US. Yeah, crazy.
You can't underemphasize how important RAM is, though. Like mine has 4 gigs, and it's usually within 250 to 500 of being maxed.
Right.
But it's great to have, because I've heard of people when they play Pokemon that eats all their RAM.
It kills RAM.
Right. Yep. So I guess next, because yours probably has maybe
Can confirm. 2. I have a terrible phone.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's Nexus 5. It's not terrible. It's just not current.
Right.
RAM is not a good way to rate phones.
No, I'm not saying to rate it, but it's an important aspect. Like, you don't want a phone that doesn't have a lot of RAM.
An Android phone, to be specific, because Android, the way Android does, I think they call it garbage collection. It likes having full RAM all the time, so it'll leave stuff in memory unless it needs to get rid of it.
Right.
And that's kind of tough on battery, but it's just the way they've decided to go with, and kind of historically they're just kind of stuck with that. Whereas like my phone, the iPhone SE has 2 gigs of RAM, and that's so much more than enough. Like everything, I can have everything open just because of the way it keeps track of that RAM. It tries to be really battery efficient. Whereas like in most cases, you actually don't want a lot of RAM on a phone because it's very battery intensive to actually use it all. And Android likes to use it all.
Interesting.
So, but it's a tough thing to do because you want to have enough, but you don't want to have too much. It's almost like you'd want it to turn off some RAM when you're not using something intense, but when you are using something, to have it ramp up. But yeah, that's a more technical discussion that I'm not at all qualified to have. But yeah, so this phone is ceramic, but we don't really know what kind of ceramic it is. Like, it just came out. Even if iFixit did a teardown, they probably wouldn't do like a chemical analysis of the ceramic. So it doesn't seem like this is why I think it's possible that they could do a ceramic backed iPhone or any smartphone could be ceramic, because you can call something ceramic and it doesn't necessarily have to have all these super magic ceramic properties that we talked about. You can, like, it's again like the gradual thing. You can kind of slowly move towards something being considered a ceramic, and it will be better and better probably for the properties you'd want in a smartphone. But the fact that Xiaomi is already doing it, and it is a concept, so that speaks to the fact that they're not sure how it's going to sell. They're not going to make it in huge quantities. It doesn't speak to the fact that it only hypothetically exists in renderings and stuff. Like, normally when you see the word concept thrown around, it's like at CES or at any of those major European tech conferences, or I think there's one in Las Vegas too. I never remember the names of all of them. But
CES.
Okay, I'm thinking of like Mobile World Congress and
that's
IFA
and yeah.
You see concept as like a rollable 18.7 inch display.
TV,
whatever it is.
Yeah.
But they took the concept and they actually made at least some of these phones for sale.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see it.
Just beware that you probably won't be able to run Pokemon Go on it. Like, in all seriousness, because it's Chinese and they've been banning or preventing those types of phones from running it.
Yeah. But so we'll have to see how many more ceramic phones come out. But I thought that was really coincidental, just that it came out the week after we finally decided to talk about it.
So we were more on topic and on point with our discussion than we realized.
Yeah, absolutely.
We thought we were late, but we were actually on top of things. We beat the news, basically.
Yeah. So let's get to our main topics. Nick, I want you to self-identify. Is your story important enough to go first? Because if it is, I want to talk about it. But if it isn't, then
I actually have another story that I want to talk about as well. I just realized this while you guys were talking about Xiaomi.
And what is that one more important than this one?
That one is about really old rocks.
Oh, my interest is piqued.
I'm honestly piqued.
All right, because Mike's a geologist.
That's such a niche, and you pick two people that have like studied it more than 99.9% of people in the world. Everyone else was like, "Oh my god, I'm leaving this episode." And we're like, "Ooh, okay."
Just to keep people on the show, if they're planning on sticking around, we're going to talk about the Mac event later. So stay tuned.
We're going to talk about which?
The Mac event.
So
fine.
Everyone that likes my stories, you can tune out after this one. Canada home to world's oldest rocks, researchers say.
This is topical.
Interesting.
Right?
Posted September 25th, 2008.
Yeah. I'm not actually sure how I came across this.
This is a deep cut.
Here we are. Canadian and U.S. researchers say they have found the oldest rocks in the world.
Are we actually talking about an 8-year-old news story?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Okay, this is geology we're talking about. This is like super, super fresh news for geology. It's like as fresh as it gets.
This is worse than like a repost on like Vox when they do like their.
I don't think it is. I think it's better than that, but it's not much better.
Okay,
so the oldest rocks in the world are along the northern Quebec coast of the Hudson's Bay.
Okay.
And they're estimated to be 4.28 billion years old.
And these are on the surface.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're surface rocks.
They do tend to get, like, rocks get cycled up to the top without necessarily going through subduction or anything. So it's not like unheard of that old rocks would be at the top. It just is it would take some kind of geological event.
And so this will mean more to Mike, but the rocks are known as faux amphibolites, taking their name from the resemblance to another class of rock, mostly composed of silica minerals. Unlike regular amphibolites, which are dark green or pitch black in appearance, rocks in this other class are beige or sugar brown.
I've never heard the term sugar brown before, but I love it so much.
I know exactly what they mean. It's the sugar and the raw stuff. It's the good stuff.
Huh.
Okay, so this will mean more to you guys, but the dating technique that they used, are those common elements to date with?
No, I've never heard of dating with neodymium and samarium. Like neodymium is a rare earth. That's cool.
As is samarium, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Probably neodymium. You hear a lot more about like neodymium magnets, like rare earth magnets, but samarium presumably is like it's right next to it. It probably is as well.
Yeah. So based on this last line, it says the fact that the researchers were able to find the isotope at all told them the rock was at least 4 billion years old.
Huh.
So they don't really need to use it the same way that carbon dating is, where they have to find the ratio. This is like, oh, it's there. That means it's this old, which is, I guess, almost better than carbon dating.
So samarium's half-life is 10.3 times 10 to the 7 years, which is
like millions, tens of millions of years.
Yeah, tens of millions.
Huh.
And then what was the other isotope? Neodymium what?
Neodymium
142.
Yeah. They must be byproducts of something else that.
Oh, neodymium's stable.
That isotope is stable?
Yeah. According to what's it here?
Yeah.
So maybe it's the ratios between samarium 146 and neodymium 142?
Yeah, that's got to be it.
Huh. Okay. That's crazy. Although it does say, although the isotope of the element was believed to have formed in the early Earth, remnants of it are extremely rare in all but the oldest rocks because it decays so quickly.
Wait.
I love that. On the relative like geological timescales, that it sounds like they're saying 10 to the 7 is quickly for geological purposes.
Well, it is.
Uranium is like 10 to the 9, isn't it? Like it's 100 times longer.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think the half-life of uranium is around the age of the Earth right now.
Yeah. That's cool.
Or on the same order.
Yeah. Huh.
Which is a good thing because we need it.
Yes. Yes, it is. So apparently, just because of the age of these rocks, they're saying they might be able to get clues as to what life would have been like.
Would there have been life?
Years ago? 4.28 billion years ago.
If there was, because right now I think it's like between 4 and 3.5 billion. We haven't really.
When did single cell organisms start showing up? I think it was
around 3.5 to 4 billion. Like obviously it was over, like we only had single celled life for like 1.5 or 2.5 billion years or something.
Okay.
Interestingly, near the end of the article here, it says the oldest previously known rocks were also in Canada, in the Shield, the Northwest Territories.
Yeah.
So is there anything aside from like mountain ranges, is there anything similar to the Canadian Shield as far as like the type of rock and how they're all kind of exposed like that?
Well, as far as I know, the Canadian Shield is known for being particularly old and stable rock.
Well, wasn't it? Because it was a mountain, not necessarily a mountain range, but it was like a high range, and then it was ground down by glaciers, wasn't it? Isn't that how
that sounds right?
Because like you have the Appalachian mountains are much more like hills now because they've been eroded, but it seems like at some point everything grinds down lower and lower until you just have shield, or until you just have exposed flat rock. Like shield isn't really high, it's just rock, flat outcroppings everywhere.
Yeah, I'll have to do a bit more reading on the Canadian Shield. Like here in Calgary, we don't get much education on the Eastern geology.
Yeah,
just because it's more oil and gas focused.
Like shield comes out here too.
Well,
not nearly, not in the same way.
Well, when you go to school here and take geology, you learn about oil and gas and hydrocarbons and structural traps and that kind of stuff. You don't learn about minerals and Canadian Shield and
now we're bringing in Mr. Bloodington to talk about Canadian geology. What is it? I'm an oil man.
You know what I find really interesting about the Shield and like going to university, taking geology classes in Ontario? Did you ever take geology, Nick, first year?
No.
Okay. There were 6 field trips in this class, and at least 2 of them, possibly more, were take a bus out to the Gatineau Hills, and it was like a 20-minute ride, and you literally pull up to like just exposed rock from the shield. Like you can just go to it and just walk around on it. It's not, there's no, like, it's really old rock, but it's not a historical site because you can't, because it's just like miles and miles, hundreds of thousands of miles of that.
Yeah. Geology field trips here are you drive out to a highway where there's a road cut and just look at the rock that's on
like
the side of the
a mountain
road.
highway.
Right. Yeah. Where there's just, it was a road cut along a mountain and you can see rock and it's like, yep, that's the sandstone.
There's a little bit of that here.
Yeah.
But it was mostly like as we were driving through the road, like through the mountain pass or whatever it is like hill pass, I guess. You're like, oh, here, cut this out to make this road. And it was like as we were going by to go to the shield.
Oh, okay.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the shield extended into northern Alberta.
Northern Alberta, but not. I don't think that goes into
like
Calgary.
We went up exploring up there, and it's definitely like boreal or taiga, whatever you want to call it.
Up towards like Grand Prairie where you were, for sure, probably. But
let's see a map of the Canadian Shield. Oh wow, it doesn't.
There you go.
Not at all in Alberta.
Like a little bit in the northeastmost corner,
like north of Fort McMurray.
Oh yeah, like right at the top,
like east of high level. Or so this one random map says. What does Wikipedia have to say on the matter?
Oh yeah.
All the maps I'm seeing are mostly similar, not exactly the same necessarily.
Yeah, but yeah, kind of same idea.
Yeah, the top part, but definitely not the bottom.
No.
Fascinating. I can see why they call it the Canadian Shield, though.
Yeah.
Canadian Shield, located almost entirely within Canada.
Makes sense.
Fascinating.
Anyway.
What's the other stuff?
So after this story, Nick, what's our takeaway from it?
Rocks are neat. There's some really old rocks in Canada.
I learned about that dating technique. That's cool. Just the presence of the isotope gives it that date. I like that.
It's funny when you talk about dating techniques. Hey, baby, want to get together like neodymium and what's the other one? Samarium. If we last together, you'll know we're old.
Oh man. So we're very quickly approaching an hour here. What Mike, you want to hear about Max? Because I
want to hear what's new. Okay, so I know I didn't watch the event this time.
Obviously.
I didn't really look at the news either, but I heard that the touch strip was all but confirmed. Actually confirmed, period. Not all but confirmed. It was actually confirmed.
It was actually on stage, demonstrated.
It was all but confirmed prior to the event,
right.
And then it was confirmed during the event.
Yeah, just to give backstory, there was a leaked, or not leaked even, there was an image of the touch strip in one of the help kind of pages in the shipping operating system on every Mac that was updated. So it was how to use Apple Pay on the new computer. And it was like, here's how you do it. And then it showed a picture of the touch bar. So yeah, people found that and it was confirmed.
And the touch bar replaced the F keys, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The what?
Function keys.
Function key.
I like calling them F keys.
F keys up at the top. You use them for when you need to F. You need to be effing around with your settings.
Does it have Touch ID?
It does have Touch ID.
Okay, so that was also new for this model.
Yeah. So interestingly, for Touch ID, yes, you can use it to pay for things and to unlock the Mac, but you can also, if you have multiple user accounts on there, like say it's logged into Maria's account.
Yeah.
If you put your thumbprint in, authenticate, it will fast user switch automatically to you.
The new user profile on the computer?
Yeah.
Even if you're not
user profiles by just putting your fingerprint on.
okay, so say I'm on PayPal and I'm gonna pay with my Touch ID, like PayPal.com, like on the browser.
This is not while you're paying. This is
Oh.
every other time. You can authenticate payments with it, but you can also, if you're just like wanting to log in, but someone else is already logged in.
Oh, okay, I see. Just out on any given screen, it
Yeah.
will just okay, sure.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So
it's neat, and it made people be like, why isn't this on iOS? Like, why can't my iPad do this?
coming in the spring.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else was announced? Like, give us the hits.
There was an Apple TV app called TV that lets you kind of it's kind of a hub for anything live you can watch, like any TV or content you can watch. And
hashtag death of cable.
Yeah. There was a bunch of little kind of nothing, not hardware, just like updates and stuff.
Yeah.
But then the main thing was just these, I mean, really it's just one MacBook that was up. And the high-end version has this function strip. And the low-end version, which is ostensibly meant to replace the MacBook Air, whether it does or not is another discussion, is just the same computer, 13-inch laptop that doesn't have, just has regular function keys.
Okay.
And
no Touch ID?
No Touch ID.
Okay.
And that small one, I think possibly all the 13-inch ones. Anyways, all the computers only have a headphone jack and then USB-C ports. So the big computers have 4 USB-C ports. That small one has 2.
Oh, so they got rid of the standard USB?
Yeah.
Wow. That's surprising.
The future is coming.
Interesting. And so no Lightning or MagSafe or anything like that?
No Lightning, no MagSafe.
And I'd like to talk about that briefly.
Any port will charge. Any port can do video. Any port can do USB. Any port can do anything that USB can do.
Now, a lot of people were upset that they couldn't just plug their phone into their computer.
Yes.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
Like charge your phone from your computer.
Well,
why can't you?
File transfer, whatever.
You need a new cable. The cable they give you is regular USB.
Right.
So you can't. No regular USB
into
port.
there. Okay, gotcha. Okay,
That's what we were talking about on Twitter.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Would you care to comment?
Well, I said, and I
don't really care, but I know other people care, so I'd like to hear you address it.
Other people care. I can address it, but I don't care.
Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
No.
I'm gonna try to find this.
We don't talk here on Future Chat, Mike.
They sell things called USB hubs that you can buy.
They do.
So there's that.
Yeah. I have 2 USB hubs.
Yeah.
And
honestly, like,
a hub?
What's that?
Do you have a hub plugged into another hub?
I did briefly, but I don't anymore.
Hubception?
Yeah. So, yeah, because I wonder, would they give a USB-C to USB female dongle?
Yes.
I'm assuming they'd sell one, probably.
Yeah,
It'd be silly not to.
Like an adapter, yeah.
Well, I guess you'd call it an adapter, but.
So I tweeted this 2 days ago. Do people actually charge their phones with their laptops nowadays? I cannot remember the last time I did, although I am unique in many ways.
Is that why you asked that? I was wondering where that came from.
And
okay.
So I got 2 responses to this. Both people said, I charge mine on my desktop every day. And I didn't say desktop, I said laptop. So anecdotally, this doesn't matter. Really, this doesn't matter, but people are going to complain if something changes in their life. But okay, so this is the main thing that I want to say to address it doesn't address every complaint, but to just talk about every possible complaint. If you buy a new technology product, you might have to buy some other stuff to make it work with your old stuff. That's always been true, and it always will be true. To complain about it after dropping $1,500 on a computer just seems like, don't buy the computer then. You have a computer already, probably. It's weird. Yeah,
like progress is always going to require transitions.
Mm-hmm.
And in that transitional period, you're going to need dongles and adapters and peripherals and all this kind of stuff for that in between. Just like everyone even we have an external optical drive.
Right.
Because laptops don't come with optical drives anymore.
Mhm.
And we probably have used it twice since we bought it.
Actually, I didn't even think about this, but thinking about this announcement on Thursday, if that laptop had come with an optical drive, that would be so like that'd be a joke.
Yeah. Like
they haven't had them for 5 years now.
Yeah. Like Maria started playing computer games, like mystery,
right,
strategy game type things. And she's like, "Oh, how are you going to play it on the computer? It doesn't have an optical drive." I'm like, "Games don't come on optical drive on CDs anymore." She's like, "What do you mean?" And then I introduced her to Steam, and she's like, "Wow, this is amazing!"
Yeah.
Like, and like it's like she's not a gamer, so she didn't realize Steam was a thing for like 15 years. But it's one of those things that things change, and I think it's more interesting that Apple has the lightning port only phone, and I'm assuming they are selling, or they have the cable that's USB to lightning, like USB 3 or 2 or whatever, 3 I guess. And now their MacBooks are USB-C. So are they going to start selling a USB-C to lightning cable with their phones?
They sell a USB-C to lightning,
but to come with their phones, because
that's at some point that will happen, or they'll just switch the phones to USB-C, but it depends which comes first.
Right.
Interestingly, in case you guys didn't see the memes this week,
and I didn't.
Obviously, I know you didn't. But so the phones have lightning ports. The USB-C standard from Intel is called Thunderbolt 3. So the connection, the cable would be called Thunderbolt and Lightning, like the end-to-end.
But
cable.
There's already a Thunderbolt port on Mac.
Right. So Thunderbolt 3, the third generation of Thunderbolt, is port pin compatible with USB-C.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Is that just coincidence?
No, that's by design. Intel did a bunch of work on it. Huh. It's an Intel standard, I believe.
Interesting.
Intel plus others. But yeah, Thunderbolt and Lightning. There was a bunch of Freddie Mercury memes.
Isn't a Thunderbolt and Lightning the same thing? Technically, like Thunderbolt being the improper.
Thunderbolt being the 2-bar move that type Pokemon can learn, which I almost prefer because you get more damage out of the energy invested. Granted, you don't get quite as much damage per second when you use it, but I mean, feel free to speak to that, guys.
Okay, I'm going to insert an audio clip of Bohemian Rhapsody in here so that you guys seem like idiots.
Have we not talked about my ambivalence towards most classic rock?
That's fine, but it's a great song and it's a great line. Thunderbolt and Lightning, very, very frightening.
Why is it good though?
What does it mean? Very catchy and enjoyable.
It's a novelty. It's
70s or 80s, whatever period it was, pop.
So
that's what pop was.
I'd like to posit this here. According to a Reddit post, which may or may not be accurate, there's a song called Salsa Tequila by Anders Nilsson. And he wanted to prove the point that lyrics in dance music didn't have to make sense. And he just came out and made fun of the dance music of a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the beginning of the video, he goes, "Hey guys, I've got this year's summer hit." You're like, "Ooh, does it have accordion?" Yes. Saxophone? Yes. A lyric video? Yes. And best of all, Spanish lyrics. When did you learn to speak Spanish? Sí. You got to watch it because it's just utter nonsense, but it sounds really nice.
Sure. Right. Well, Gangnam Style is a good example of that. Just it was really catchy.
No, but that actually makes sense in Korean.
Yeah, of course. I mean, in terms of North American pop culture, nobody understood what was being said. But
no, that's true.
Found it really catchy.
Yeah. But so what I'm hearing is that then Bohemian Rhapsody is on the same level.
It is
as Salsa Tequila.
The lyrics are nonsense.
Okay.
I'm just a
preparing
poor boy
myself.
from a poor family.
I'm preparing myself for a bunch of angry tweets now.
Yeah. I mean, there won't be any, but prepare yourself.
Yeah, no. Nobody actually interacts with us.
It's true. Okay, so that's the Mac event.
The Mac, the Touch Bar does seem pretty cool. I'm gonna go and try it out. Anecdotally, I went to Walmart was it last night? Either 1 or 2 days ago, and tried out the phone on display there. The Taptic engine worked just fine. I don't know what is wrong with every phone you've tried.
I'm going to Chinook today, so I will report back. I'll go to the Mac store, the Apple store, and
the old Mac store.
What's that?
The old Mac store.
Well, Apple store. But
when are you going to Chinook?
Today.
But like
probably right after the show.
Okay, because I've got like some chores to do, but I'd hang out. We could take some gyms.
We should go hang out.
Okay. Yeah.
So
enjoy the married life in Ottawa, Rob.
The main news from this Mac event is the fact that MacBook Pros were announced, like basically one model of computer, but they have 3 or 4 other lines of Macs that just were not even mentioned. It was just like, oh yeah, we have the MacBook Pro and nothing else.
Okay, so this is interesting because I listened to Upgrade before this Mac event happened.
Yeah.
Like it's the episode's still up. And they did their draft. And there were a lot of items there that they predicted.
Yeah.
That seemingly didn't even come up.
Yeah.
So this was that kind of the same story all over the industry, that people expect a lot more to be announced in this event?
Not that they expected, but that they wanted. Like,
right.
It has been not tradition, but like it has been that the Macs were updated. Like the line was updated at least every 12 to 18 months, if not more often. And like every time a new chipset would come out, it would be updated. But they've slacked off, and like it's been something like 4 years since the Mac Pro was updated, which is like their high-end computer. And then that paired with the fact that this week Microsoft announced this huge touchscreen desktop computer with a bunch of specific like creative things like the dial and like it's basically a drafting table.
Like it's a purpose-built computer for whatever people
like professional creators.
Right.
And there's nothing new like that for Apple users. And it's like that has always been their niche market, is like if you're creative, if you're creating something, you want a Mac. And now Microsoft seems like they're catering to those users much more than Apple is. But yeah, so people are saying that there could still be updates before the year is out, but it's like, why wouldn't you have mentioned them in this and then said they're shipping in like a month or two?
Right.
Because there is precedent for that. When Apple did last release the Mac Pro, they had a teaser video and they talked a little bit about the computer, but they were like, oh, we're telling you about what's coming in the next few months. Right. And then later they released it.
They kind of took flack though for doing that with the portrait mode, where they're like, oh, this was supposed to be ready, but it wasn't. So they're just saying it's coming later, but that just looks bad.
Did they take flack for that? Because like
on the people that I heard talk about it said that
when they first announced that it was coming, like there was a 2-camera system that was going to use portrait mode, but that it would be coming later. Everyone was like, oh no, I'm disappointed. Like, oh, I'm going to have to wait for this. But then within, I think it was less than a week.
Yeah, it was quick.
There was
after,
a beta that gave it to anyone who wanted it.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like that was more in hindsight. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was like gut reaction. Yeah. Oh, we're not going to get it. But then it was like immediately there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think it's better. Like, one of the things we Mike, you took out of the notes was the Nintendo Switch. They announced it this month, and they said you're going to get more information January 12th. Basically, they showed off a demo video, talked a bit about what it's going to be, and then we're like, all right, we'll see you in January, and we'll talk more about it. But like, there's no announcement of shipping date. There's no anything. It's just like, this is a thing that's coming eventually.
Right.
And apparently, like, I don't follow Nintendo news, but this was a device that was previously codenamed NX, Nintendo NX, and had been talked about for years. Like, I've heard the NX mentioned in Nintendo for years, and they hadn't. And then they finally did announce it, but there's no date. We're going to get more information about a date.
Right. Well, because they hadn't released a new game system in a while,
Right.
since the Wii U, from
Yeah.
my understanding. Like, they've had a bunch of DS versions,
Right.
but I don't think anything super recent. And after the Switch was shown, a lot of comparisons are made to like the NVIDIA, what's it called?
Shield?
The Shield. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the NVIDIA Shield tablet. And coincidentally enough, this one is made by NVIDIA, or at least has NVIDIA hardware in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like it looks like a cool product.
Yeah.
I guess we haven't talked about it, but for those that aren't aware, it's basically a tablet with little controllers that slide into these little slots on the sides that turn it into kind of a handheld game system. But you can disconnect the controllers and use it as just a regular handheld controller and use the tablet part as a monitor kind of thing.
Yeah.
You can have the controllers used in 2-player mode, so 2 people can play the game at the same time, and again use the device as a screen.
Yeah.
So it's a cool concept. We'll see how popular and successful it is, but it seems like people are excited about it. And I think the big thing is that they're going to have a lot of third-party games available. Like, they're not just Nintendo games. They're going to do Activision. I don't know. That's just the one name I recognize or remember.
Right.
But yeah, it sounds like they'll have a pretty good ecosystem of games to be used on this device. So people are pretty excited for that.
Right. Yeah, people love Nintendo, and they've been waiting for something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else you guys urgently want to talk about in here? Or good for the week? We've already spilled well over into extra time.
Dude, I guess we could push the Elon Musk news to next week. Or
I guess we must.
It's awful, Rob. That was awful.
I'm so sorry. Way to
go,
I will say,
Keegan.
Just to tease this this story. I mean, go watch the solar panel video. I encourage both of you, because I know you haven't watched it yet, to because like the best thing about Tesla presentations is they're only 15 or 20 minutes. This whole video takes 20 minutes, and it's some pretty cool stuff.
Okay.
So
we'll watch it.
Unless something else comes up, we'll talk about this next week.
Sounds good.
All right. In the meantime, thanks for listening to this week's Future Chat. You can head to unwindmedia.com/futurechat for past episodes and more info about how to follow us and to follow the show on, say, Twitter or Facebook. See you guys next week.
Ciao.
Doodaloo.
Guys have any ideas for an after show, or just go?
Can we take just a few minutes so that I can see your reaction to salsa tequila?
Sure. Do you want this to be on the broadcast?
It doesn't matter.
Are you going to YouTube app share this through the Hangout?
Does that even work anymore?
Trying.
I thought that didn't work. Huh. YouTube and Hangouts seems to be.
What am I doing? Good. Good.
I could probably find this faster than you're finding it right now.
Probably.
Is the video playing for you guys?
Yes.
Okay.
This is really great listening. I'm going to post this link in the notes.
I put the CD in upside down. I like that.
I think I'm lagging.
I can't actually really pay attention and talk.
So the first few bars, you could easily be listening to the Avicii.
Pitbull, right? Oh, okay, or Avicii. As somebody who understands Spanish, this is nonsense.
Right?
Also, you know what this reminds me of? The rap from Community, like from the second episode.
Salma Hayek. See, like the beat itself is actually pretty good. It's just
right. It can stand on its own merits as a song.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious.
I guess maybe the effect is different if you don't know Spanish and you don't know that those words will be funny.
Maybe.
Why ketchup?
I like that it's saying like bueno, not like bueno, but like bueno.
Well, he's Norwegian.
That's true.
Yeah, did this come out before Pitbull became big? Because this is just Pitbull. It's because he has to make bueno multiple syllables. That's the only reason.
That's true. How much do you cost?
What?
Actually, that's how much do I cost? Or no, that'd be how much do you cost?
Yeah, how much does the lady cost?
Or how much do you cost in formal Spanish?
Yeah, but señorita.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
How much does
you can be formal to a
cost?
señorita?
Well, I know you can be formal, but that's propositioning someone.
Ketchup Desperado is probably one of the best lines.
Well, that was worth it.
That was
Right?
good. I hadn't heard that one before.
Glad you like it.
Should I end the broadcast now?
Yeah,
I
just
think so.
right there.